Right then, this is a quick walk around video for a really wonderful Honda Accord. This is a 2-litre EX automatic, 59 plate with just 67,000 miles. Car comes with an amazing Honda service history attached to the car, finished in this gorgeous grey metallic with the optional Honda alloys fitted, and it looks absolutely stunning, and it's also in just wonderful condition. Front of the car, as you can see, lights and lenses are clear, intact, no cracks, no condensation, very clean. Likewise, bumper very clean. Bonnet, hardly see a stone chip anywhere on there at all. It's simply wonderful. Near side, absolutely crisp in the panels, no indentations that I can see. Absolutely glorious looking alloys, look superb as well. Oh, there, looks wonderful. I mean, it's such a handsome looking car. I mean, it beggars belief to think it's a, what is it now, 11, 12 years old. It still looks incredibly fresh. Back, very clean and tidy. Off side of the car, again, can't see any obvious indentations there at all. Actually, I tell a lie, I did see one, and it was tiny, but I'm going to try and find out. Oh, I think I might have found it. I mean, it is microscopic, but it's like a little pin dent. It's just, it's there. That's the whole point of doing the videos, is to show anything we can, no matter how minor or relatively trivial. But it really is a wonderful example. It's coming as the boot, huge boots, and the Accords, you get a 60/40 fold with those little handles you can pull there to release them. It's been kept absolutely beautifully. It's coming into the back of the car, full black leather interior, and again it's been kept simply wonderfully. So front on the passenger side, again really clean. Hard to imagine there's going to be one better than this anywhere. Let's come to the front. Door card again wonderfully clean. And the driver's seat, the one that takes all of the wear, shows very little at all. I mean, that's in absolutely stunning condition. Coming under the engine bay, quite often forget to do this, unfortunately, this day and age, but I had to remember to do this because it is just a beautifully presented engine bay, and so free of all the clutter you normally get with modern cars with the plastic shields that hide everything. That is an absolute gem of an engine. So inside the car now, engine's running through this section as always, so the dash can be seen illuminated. Dashboard again is just in wonderful condition. Sat nav, you can see, working exactly as it should. Pop the car into reverse, get that lovely clear rear parking camera. But it is absolutely beautiful. And come up to the main binnacle. 67,645 miles. No warning lights on the dashboard at all. Finally, just to show you, owner's manual pack and lock and wheel nut, all here and present with the car. Right then, this is a road test video, and one I've been very much looking forward to doing. This is for a Honda Accord 2-litre EX automatic. This particular car is registered BV59JFA, and mileage at the start of the road test is just 67,633. As I say in all of the videos, the reason we do these videos is very simple indeed. We just want to ensure that if anyone is looking at this car online in an advert, they actually get to see the car in operation. And the reason for that is because we have travelled many times to see cars which have looked perfectly good, only to get there and find out when we've driven them they've got an issue which shows up while driving the car. So hence that's why we do this section of the video. We also do it on these very quiet country roads close to our premises, lovely part of Gloucestershire that we are based. This actually forms part of the road test route we take customers on, so hopefully then it'll be representative of what you feel yourself should you be offered a test drive in the car. So coming to the car, I mean, extraordinary really, in pretty much every way. The ownership, the history, certainly in terms of the Honda service history that's attached to the car. It's been absolutely loved, but it's also a generation of car which I simply adore. I am massively biased. So if you want an impartial video, you're looking at the wrong one. But in essence, for my customers or potential customers that are looking online, I'll be doing exactly what I always do, which is to go through the mechanical parts of the car. But I'll be embellishing it with lots of other stuff which I love about them. So starting at the heart of the vehicle, engine, which instantly kicks into life, settles to completely smooth, even idle, without any warning lights on the dashboard at all relating to the engine or any other part of the car. Temperature gauge running at a third, which is exactly where it's meant to be on a Honda vehicle. The engines are simply sensational. Honda are without doubt the best builder of four-cylinder engines in the world. There's no two ways about it. Their reputation for across the board producing just brilliant units, not just the stuff you expect from Honda as well, by the way. We all expect a Honda engine to be reliable and long-lasting, and they are certainly that. It's the most reliable engine in its class by a long way, and one of the most long-lasting. They can do hundreds of thousands of miles if maintained correctly. It's a very tough unit. But that's only really half the story, because it's just a joyous engine to use day in, day out. And it'll be all well and good being worthy and reliable and long-lasting, but if it sounded like a rattly something or other under the bonnet, an operation, or just didn't pull very well, it'd be a pointless exercise. But it's just so sweet-natured. It picks up really quickly, it pulls with vigour, it gets stronger as it goes through the rev range. Obviously the VTEC at the higher RPMs everyone knows about, but it's still amazing piece of engineering, absolutely incredible piece of engineering, and just so smooth. You can hear it, but you can hardly feel it. The quality of engineering that goes into those is quite astonishing. Engine feeds through into the automatic gearbox, which, like the engine, is just brilliantly produced. Ratios are cleverly spaced out to ensure that you get the best out of the engine's performance, but also economy, because they are, certainly on a run, a very economical car. If I'm just driving with the flow of the traffic, 35 to 40 mpg relatively easily. Shorter trips, closer to 30 or just above. That's just an average, by the way. That's what I tend to get. I've got lots of customers getting a lot more than that, and I've probably got some getting a lot less than that as well, but that's what you can easily achieve. Gearbox, all gear changes are smooth, crisp, beautifully done. You can use these paddles, by the way, on the steering wheel to change gear as well. Hardly ever used, in all honesty, because the gearbox is so good, but you can override it if, let's say, you wanted to control the revs you're pulling on an overtake. Again, those functions all working exactly as they should. And now on to probably, as much as the engine and the gearbox are brilliant, and they are even by modern standards, my favourite part is definitely the steering and the chassis of this car. The steering, one of the first to have electric power steering, which normally means horror of horrors. You can't feel them, they're vague, they're just horrible. This is beautifully set up. It's got the right weighting, it's absolutely scalpel sharp in terms of its accuracy and precision, and they've matched it brilliantly to the chassis of the car, because the chassis of the car gives you a very compliant ride. It's very hard to describe. It's kind of firm, but in a really nice nuggety way. BMW do this really well. This is what the Honda have been sort of trying to achieve with Accord for decades, and the last generation and this one, they absolutely nailed it. It's simply brilliant. So it's very comfortable day to day. But what the chassis gives you is quite wide in track. It simply eats corners, and it's very hard to describe. I remember many years ago, very rarely, in a real panic and rush, to drive quite a long way across country, and astonished by just how capable the chassis was. It is simply brilliant. Flows through corners of all types, radius, off camber, mid-corner bumps. It just dismisses them. It's genius. Steering, by the way, at the legal limit now. There's no vibrations. track's absolutely dead straight. Chassis, when I'm going over bumps, I can hear the bumps, but I can't feel any rattles or hear any rattles or clonking, which would suggest suspension wear, but I wouldn't expect it on the car. But all in fine order there. Brakes on the car, just going to give them a shove. I can leave this turn to the last second and give them a really hard shove. But really nice brake pedal on the car, solid, powerful, no pulsing, no vibrations coming back through at all. Coming inside, it's not been cleaned yet, and yet it's just astonishingly clean in here. It really is very, very, very tidy. Dashboard, you know, of its era, but one of the best of its era as well. You've got that beautifully recessed sat-nav screen, which lots of manufacturers should still learn from, including Honda. Obviously that, you know, means you get less reflection from the sun. All working perfectly. You've got a dual zone climate control system offering you different temperatures side to side, blowing out absolutely ice cold air. But it's the quality of the switchgear is absolutely superb. It's like a very high quality hi-fi. Every button you press got that beautifully damped actuation. And this is what people love about them. This is why they are stupidly expensive still, but rightly so, because it's there's not many cars, even the so-called premium brands, don't drive anything like as well as this after this length of time. You know, even relatively well-maintained ones, in all honesty. There's not a squeak or a rattle from the interior. It is beautifully put together, and really nicely finished. It's so easy to get in the car, jump in, drive it, and it's, you know, especially by contrast to a lot of modern cars now, where your hands on a mouse, you spend more time looking at the screen than you do at the road. It's you know, it's a joke really, but there we are. In front of me there, your classic Honda dashboard, which I really wish I'd go back to. Big symmetrical rev counter and speedo, flanked by temperature and fuel gauges, just giving you information brilliantly, simply, devoid of any distraction or anything else. Then the perfect steering wheel, rim diameter, width of the diameter of the steering wheel, leather bound, feels absolutely perfect to hold, which is, I think, why this has always been one of my favourite Hondas throughout all the generations, is because it's not just about it's got one individual element that's really good on the car. They all come together absolutely brilliantly to give you, you know, one of the very best drives. And I said it would stack up against pretty much any modern car. That's how good a design it was for its time, and completely missed by the motoring press, who as always, you know, have their favourites, stick to their favourites. 5 years down the line, suddenly the favourites don't become their favourites anymore, when they realise they got it hopelessly wrong when they did the initial road tests, and they find out they're all going mechanically giving issues, which these don't, generally speaking. But no, it's as I said, it's it probably isn't the most powerful 2-litre engine in the world. It probably isn't the most fuel efficient. It probably isn't the slickest gearbox in the world. It probably isn't the quietest car on the move. There's probably things it isn't quite, but I tell you what, it's pretty much top of the tree on pretty much every single one of them. In particular, kind of the chassis. But when you put those all together, you've got one hell of a car. It really is a wonderful machine. And I did warn you at the start of the video, I am massively biased for these cars, but it is with good reason. You know, I'm not just, you know, I've been sort of glib about it, but the reality is, you know, we drive lots of competitors' cars, not 2-3-year-old ones, but 10-year-old cars, and you drive them down this road, which is quite challenging, it's quite bumpy. So if there's anything loose or old and creaky about anything on the car, from the suspension through to the interior, it shows up. And yet this drives, well, I used to sell them new, and it feels like new to drive. And I hate that because it's a cliche, but it really does. But it's a car that you feel very, very special in, even today. Not for everybody. Some people just don't get them, don't get it at all. They can't understand what all the fuss is about. Yet, fortunately for us, there's many people out there who absolutely understand it. You know, they appreciate Honda's engineering. Doesn't just lie on the surface, it goes underneath the surface to the components you can't see, where other manufacturers kind of shortcut. As always, if you've got any questions about the car, don't hesitate, do give us a call.